All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Represented series. We're really excited to continue to kick this back off. The whole point of the Represented series was really to bring education and conversation around a multitude of subjects related to finance and getting your legacy in gear and making sure that you're taking care of not just yourself, but also your family. So I'm really excited to kick this series back off with our first professional who comes from our CHIP platform, who is Tracey Brooks. Tracey Brooks offers a wide range of financial expertise, having worked over 30 years in the greater Cincinnati financial and banking sector. Tracey learned early on that there is no single approach that is right for every individual or family. With her strong corporate business and financial knowledge, Tracey founded Living Legacy Financial Services, LLC. Prior to branching out on her own, Tracey was the only African American female investment executive of Fifth Third Securities. Building a relationship with her clients is the core to Tracey's success, and this is proven by customer longevity and ongoing referrals. Growing up in Cincinnati public housing and attending Cincinnati public schools, Tracey has been committed to giving back to the community as a mentor and complimentary financial well-being seminars. Tracey credits her greatest accomplishments to raising her only daughter and breaking down barriers for women of color. So, without further ado, I am going to bring on Tracey. Hey, Tracey, how are you?
Hi, Dana. How are you?
Doing well. It's such a pleasure to have you here. Always a pleasure to have you just a part of the Chip family.
It's a pleasure to be here and to be live with you this afternoon. So I really appreciate everything that you're doing for African Americans and bringing the knowledge and information that's so needed. So I want to say thank you to you for everything that you're doing to bring acknowledgement and wealth to other people.
Well, awesome. And I'll throw the thank yous and the flowers back. And I appreciate all that you do to continue to educate our communities and just the overall vibrancy of what you bring to this industry. And before we kick things off, I just want to ask you one question about what does it mean to be a woman of color, a Black woman in the financial industry? What does that really mean to you?
Wow, great question. What it means to me is I'm living a legacy that was laid out for me, and to be able to educate and work with people who probably would never even have taken the opportunity to learn more about finances and financial planning and investing and things like that. I am honored. I'm humbled. I remember when I first started. I used to have people bringing money out of safe boxes. The most memorable experience I had was someone bringing cash that they had stored in their basement to me. So I'm
Oh,
honored,
wow.
and yeah, yeah,
We'll
I
have to
mean,
unpack that story.
yeah, definitely. So I consider it a privilege and an honor to be here and to be able to serve my community.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I will bow out and let you take the stage. We're going to put up a quick note. So just know that the opinions voiced are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance reference is historical and no guarantee. So always make sure that you're doing your own homework. But Tracey, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dana. Good afternoon again, and thank you so much for chiming in on your lunch break or taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this afternoon. Today, I'm going to do a presentation on how to build generational wealth, and I'm also going to just share a little bit about my family history and how I was able to get here, and leading the way for even my daughter. So, without further ado, I just want to thank you again, and just also bring your attention to the photo that's showing here on my presentation while preparing for today. I came across this photo, and it just meant so much to me. 'Cause as you see, what appears to be a grandmother, a mother, and then children. And you see the grandmother with at the lower end, if you will, and setting the foundation and giving building blocks to her next generation, second and third generation for generational wealth. So, and then this also reminded me of why I named my practice Living Legacy. The reason why I've named my practice Living Legacy because I feel as if I'm living the legacy that was set forth for me by my grandparents and my mother, and then women who helped shape my life. Let's get started with the presentation. And today, what we're going to cover is how to build generational wealth. What is generational wealth? I'm going to give you some tools to build generational wealth. And last but not least, how to transfer generational wealth. I love this picture here. Generational wealth. Well, I can tell you for a lot of people, this is not it. Uh, just a quick side note. I watched an episode of Hoarders last night, and there was a gentleman who had spent over $500,000 on collectibles, if you will. And I can tell you that 95% of things that he thought was of value was thrown out. So just keep in mind when we're collecting our treasures, what may be treasurable or to us or valuable to us may not be the same for your children or the person who may have to clean out your home, after you pass. Is a lot of times those things are either donated or thrown away. And if you've ever had to do this or know somebody who has had to clean out somebody else's home or estate, they may be able to tell you that a lot of times those treasures, if you will, or values aren't valued by the next person or the next generation. So, to answer the question, what is generational wealth? Generational wealth is being able to build something that you can leave behind for others. Generational wealth doesn't always mean money. And just share a little bit of my family history. I am generational wealth. My family is from Selma, Alabama. My grandmother raised her children and grandfather before he passed in a two-room shack. There was no indoor plumbing. There was no electricity. And then once my mom migrated to Ohio, Cincinnati particularly, we were raised in project housing and went to public schools. But looking back on that now, that was a step up from the shack and no plumbing, indoor plumbing. And I remember going to my grandmother's house and would cry. I mean, I have pictures of me crying because we had to stay there. But I tell you now that I've gotten older and I really understand the struggle, what it meant for my grandmother, if you will, to be able to provide a better way for her children, which meant that, her daughter's children had a roof over our head, we had electricity, and we had indoor plumbing. So, and then not only that, my uncles that also came up north, if you will, they were able to go back and build my grandmother a house, and that house is still there, and the land is still there. So, just when you think of generational wealth, just keep in mind it's not always money or coming from money or being born, if you will, with a silver spoon in your mouth. It can be in the form of higher education. It could be in form of home purchases. It could be stocks, and it can also be from life insurance. So keep that in mind. Leaving generational wealth is leaving something behind that outlives you. It's time to talk about it. So often, and I've been in the industry a long time. We're not going to do the math today, but I've been in the industry a long time, and even still to this day, as I meet with clients and even older clients, they told me that a lot of times financials was not talked about in the home. Like my parents never talked about this, my grandparents never talked about that. So there was never a conversation around it. So my challenge for those who are listening or may be able to view this video later is to talk about it. It is time to have these conversations. And while doing my research for this presentation, it's known that 70% of the second generation lose generational wealth. And then by the time it goes on to the third generation, that 30% that was left over from the prior generation, 90% of that third generation lose generational wealth. Now, there's various reasons behind that, but some of it is the lack of knowledge, not having the conversations, not bringing the family in and not getting them involved so they can understand really what it took to get to where you are or set that foundation for the next generation. Some of it is because, the generation that laid that foundation may feel like, well, I had to work for it. You should work for it. So they don't want the next generations to feel entitled or lazy, if you will, because they didn't have to put in the same amount of sweat equity that the first generation did. And that's even going back to looking at that first slide, that I showed you where you see the grandmother with the built with the brick, and then upon that, you see each generation building upon that. And then the other part of it is some people may not even have a clue of the value of money, if you will, or assets or what that knowledge means. And sometimes when we don't know any better, it's hard to do better. So I would encourage you to have the conversation and then keep in mind, I come from the generation where we had to use encyclopedias. Well, now you have the answers, if you will, in the palm of your hands. Our cell phones are really just mini computers that we happen to be able to make calls on, right? So, research it, do your homework, and have the conversation with your loved ones so that while you're building, it can be held on to and not lost for some of those reasons that we discussed. Go to the next slide. So okay, so here we're going to talk about 6 ways to start building generational wealth. And I purposely picked this slide because it gives also a resource on where you can go and get more information regarding it. And this is from parentportfolio.com. So it's contributing to a 401k. Again, just from my experience and being in the industries, when I'm working with people or getting ready to retire or building their finances, may have worked jobs. I mean, I've had people I've sat down with that worked jobs for 20 years or longer and never contribute to their employees' retirement plan. And there's 2 reasons that I usually hear. The first one is I did not understand it. And then the second one is I can't afford it. So, but I can tell you, fast forward, and I started in the industry in 1991. So fast forward to 2022, we really can't afford not to. I mean, the time goes by so fast. I mean, you start at 20, and next thing you know, it's 30 years later. So if there is an opportunity to start contributing to a retirement plan, and if you don't understand it, please reach out to someone in your benefits department and ask questions. Usually, plan sponsors have tools available to you. Work through those tools. And again, if you don't understand it, call your benefits department and find out and ask for more explanation. Some companies offer match, like a company match. It could be you put in $1, I'll give you $1. Or it can be, 50 cents to your dollar, whatever it may be. I would encourage you to ask questions and get into those programs if they're made available to you. Invest in real estate by home ownership. As we're seeing now, values have skyrocketed. So, over time, if you own a home, the home could appraise at a higher value over time. So, and if it's a family home, if you will, that property could be used for rental income, if you will, and then which can keep building generational wealth. So, definitely, home ownership is an important way to build generational wealth. Also, life insurance. Now, not only does life insurance help protect your family in the event something happens to you, it can also be a way to maybe start generational wealth. So, again, you don't have to be a multimillionaire or have tons of money to leave behind. Assets, life insurance could be a great way to do that for your family as well. Starting a small business. There's small businesses that I see in my neighborhood, and I'm sure many of you do too, that's been around for decades. So if you start a small business, again, this goes back to having the conversation. Bring on the next generation, educate them, let them know what's going on, let them know what you do, help them understand profits and expenses and those types of things. And even today, with the younger generation, they may be able to help elevate the business to another level. So definitely, if there's an opportunity to start a small business, it can be a small business out of your home that can be elevated or passed down to the next generation. And then save money. I am like the next person. I like to have fun. Every now and then there's some shopping therapy that I might need to do and go on vacations and things like that. But please pay yourself first. And what I mean by pay yourself first doesn't mean go shopping, doesn't mean go on vacation. That means make sure you are saving you some money. Make sure that you have your emergency account. Make sure that you're doing some of the activities that we talked about as far as the retirement planning. I'm not saying all your whole life or your whole focus has to be around retirement, but definitely save some money. And then just think about what we just went through with COVID-19. COVID hit the African American community the hardest, with the everything just shutting down, the loss of jobs, and lack of knowledge, so those types of things. So definitely save some money. Know where your money is going. Create a budget if you need to. So if you want to go out to eat, make that part of your budget. Or if you want to go on vacation, start you a small vacation savings account. So there's other things that you can do to where you can still enjoy life, but still protect yourself and protect your family as well. Last but not least, and sometimes this part is often missed, we talked about the whole presentation has been about building generational wealth, but and then we also talked a little bit about how the second generation, third generation could be at risk of losing generational wealth. So, and part of that could also be is not understanding how to transfer generational wealth, estate planning, especially if you have children or real estate or home ownership. Where should that assets go? Who's the next person in line? So definitely do some estate planning. Again, we have the answers in the palm of our hands nowadays. So do some research on it if you're not sure, or reach out to an attorney or a financial professional. Name beneficiaries. Definitely name beneficiaries, even if it's on your bank account, so that things don't get tied up in probate, which is the last thing on the list here is avoiding probate, but definitely name beneficiaries. And then, last but not least, having a trust or a will. What that trust document or that will document will do for you, everything points down to avoiding probate. It's going to spell out what your intentions are. You can tell the next person, oh, if anything happens to me, I want you to have, just for what's behind me, that flower vase behind me, or you get the car, or I want my house to go here or there. But if it's not in writing or legal documents, none of it means anything. So and then that's where it has to go down the family line, if you will, or up the family tree. Who's the next of kin? So if you know where you want your assets to go, and then if you know who you want to be in charge of your estate, have the conversation with them, get things in writing, reach out to a professional, again, an attorney, a financial planner, or someone you know, to get an idea of what a trust and a will and which one it will be better for you in your situation. And again, if you have small children, please get these things in writing. Who is to take care of my child if something happens to me? So, those are the tools I wanted to give to you today. I definitely wanted to keep it short. I know we're all busy running, most of us are running businesses or on our lunch break. So I at least wanted to come on when I got the opportunity to do so, to just talk about some of those key things, building generational wealth and how to transfer it. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions that may come up. I can't hear you, Dana.
There we go.
There we
There we
go.
go. There we go. Yeah, it's like you still never get it right after 2 years in the pandemic. You still don't know how to use your systems.
No
Never
problem at
fails.
all.
But no, if anyone has any questions, definitely pop into the chat. You can find Tracy, tell everyone where they can find you, and if they're looking for you outside of obviously being a part of the Chip family, what's some direct access to you if they have other questions.
Oh, definitely. So my email address is Tracy, Tracey, .Brooks, Brooks, at LPL.com. And my direct phone number is area code 513-214-1733. And then there's also contact information on my website, which is livinglegacyfinancialservices.com.
Awesome. And I love that name, Living Legacy. What made you choose that name for your practice?
Thank you very much. The name came from when I was actually in school. I did a presentation on legacy. So it really got to thinking about it's my grandmother, how she raised her children in a shack. My mother, how she raised us. There were six of us. I'm the actually youngest out of six, project housing, and we all went to project school. And then being in the financial industry for as long as I have, especially once I delve into the investment piece, always being not only just the only African American female, but always being the only African American. I mean, I would go to the meetings and or when we would have events where all the reps from different states were invited. I mean, y'all get there and there'd be 300 to 400 people, and I would be the only African American in the room. And then with my daughter, she's actually now a senior engineer for a major company. Well, all the time when she was in school studying and getting her degree, at the end of her program, she went and did an interview and just stressed that the whole time she was in the program, it was just herself and one other African American female the entire time she was there. And she just stressed that she felt like most of the African American applicants or college students were steered toward the industrial part of engineering. So I feel that we are living the legacy that was set for us from my family prior before. So that's where the company name came from.
No, that's awesome, and I love that story. And congrats to your daughter, proud mom. So definitely
Definitely.
shouting her out today, so she feels all the love. But thank you so much, Tracy, for coming on. Is there any last words of encouragement or wisdom? Could be financial, professional, business related that you want to leave for everyone?
Definitely. Again, Dana, thank you so much for this opportunity. And then also just look around. I would encourage people to just look around. Sometimes it may not seem reachable or attainable to set some of the goals, especially when we're talking home ownership in today's housing market, with the prices skyrocketing, starting businesses, colleges, or trade school. Don't forget trade school and certification. Again, and I'll say this, in all due respect, God was able to bless this mess right here. There's everybody, there's hope for everybody else. And I say that because I didn't get my college degree until I was 43 years old. However, I started in banking in 1991, filing signature cards, worked my way up, had certifications and licenses that's needed to be able to do this job. And I've always just felt that one piece was missing. So I went back and got my college degree. And even during COVID, went back and got two more certifications. And I'm asked all the time, like, you've been in this doing this for so long. Why are you always going back? Why? Just because I want to for me. So I would encourage, those who, again, if it feels like I can't do this, or the time is not right, or I don't have the money, or I don't have the knowledge, and I don't have the skills, please just think of living legacy, and let that be hopefully your motivation to get to where you want to be, and the example you want to leave for your family.
Awesome and beautifully put. Love the entire message. So thanks again, Tracy, for coming on. I'm sure we'll have you back again. The Represented Series is always open to all of the professionals that are a part of CHIP. Please feel free to visit our website at chipprofessionals.com. Tracey, thank you again for your time and for everyone who's listening. And we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day and take some time to just, really explore all the things that Tracey just said. So see you all soon.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank you.